Today I'm reviewing Welsh Fairies by Mhara Starling, a book that ended up being a lot more detailed and much deeper than I originally expected it to be.
Starling makes it clear right away that this is not your regular fairy book. It's rooted firmly in Welsh culture, in the Welsh history, and the Welsh belief. Honestly, we need more books that are region specific like this. We get a lot of overview fairy books, a lot of them. One of the early things that really was hard for me to grasp in the book, I'm going to mess this up, okay? So I apologize if I do, is the Mabinogion stories or branches or cultural thing. So she does explain it in the book, but my brain was trying to wrap itself around what she was saying. So I ended up having to look it up online. And I looked it up online, and then over the course of reading over it for the next few pages, I kind of figured out that she was explaining it right. It's just my brain wasn't putting it together right. But it's this collection of medieval Welsh stories, folklore, fairy tales, whatever you want to call them. And it has four main branches of stories, like four main stories. Okay, and that's where I think I got messed up is the branches part. And I'm like, what? What's branches? What? How are there branches? But as I continued, I figured it out. So there's four main stories in this Mabinogi. I hope I said that right. And then there's several other stories, like smaller stories, like 7 or so smaller stories that also go with it, but they're not part of the branches. They're just kind of part of the Mabinogion stories, which made a lot more sense to me. So I don't know if that was me or the way that it was explained or what, but it could have been a mixture of both. I'm not sure. By page 15, I realized this book had way more layering, way more depth than I originally anticipated. By the end of chapter 1, I realized it also leaned academic. Not in a bad way, but I'm gonna have to come back and reread this paragraph a time or two kind of way. Denser than I anticipated, so it took me a little while longer to read through it. It looks like a short book, honestly, but I would expect a slower, more thoughtful read if you're going to take this book on. What I love most about this book is the actual practice, okay? There are invocations and spell work and stuff like that from Starling's own practice that she puts into play, and then she talks about how you can use it. One of my favorite ones is the Gwen Nud, and that one it shows her personal practice. She has like a section. She talks about Gwen Nud, and then she has a section where she shows her how she personalizes it, or her personal practice with it, which gives like Welsh words, like the Welsh meaning of it, and then she gives you the English version of it too. And she also encourages you to take this idea and shape it into something that is much more your own, that you can put into your own, general practice or fairy practice or whatever. I love that. Gwen Nud is my favorite one of all of them, and she has a lot of them, okay? She also dives into the wild hunt in this book. It has some interesting theories and ideas that goes with that, including King Arthur as the the huntsman, and even a female huntress that leads it, which was a really cool concept, honestly. I'd never heard of King Arthur as leader of the Wild Hunt, but maybe it's just because I haven't read a lot of Arthurian lore. Who knows? There's also a marriage taboo in this story that really spoke to me. Basically, she's talking about fairy brides. And there are more than fairy brides. There are fairy men who also marry, right? But it's the fairy brides that she concentrated on. And basically, a man falls in love with a water fairy, okay? And that's not uncommon. But he's warned that he can't strike her more than 3 times. Okay. And that, again, this is pretty normal lore, like in a bride, a fairy bride kind of lore. There's always some kind of taboo that the man is not supposed to do, whether it's see her in the bath or, lie to her or whatever. Just this one just happens to be 3 strikes. The interesting part is the perception, how this works. And he unknowingly strikes her 3 times because his human perception of a strike, across the face or hitting or something like that, of a strike, is not the same as the fairy bride's perception of a strike. He just nudges her on the shoulder 3 times, and that is strikes to her. Every single one of them is strikes. And then she just disappears. She's gone. Her and her wealth and all of it is gone. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this idea of perception in the fairy lore, that is something I explore in my Patreon practice with different kind of old lore, right? I loved it. Okay, absolutely loved it. And it really confirmed the importance of perception, of how somebody reads something, of how somebody takes something in. The book also covers goblins. And this is all in short term. This is a small book, so it's like short term stuff. It covers goblins, it covers ghouls, it has phantom fairies in it, it's got mermaids in it, fairy connected gods like Rhiannon. Okay, I found that really interesting. And even she goes a little bit into Merlin and his otherworld parentage, which is cool. I never heard that otherworld parentage at all. But maybe it's just because I watched movies or TV shows. I haven't really dug into the lore of that. She also goes into protective charms in this book. She goes into incense, how to make the incense and stuff like that. She goes even into communication wands. Okay, there's a lot in this book, a ton of information in this book. It's a wealth of information, totally. I like the part also even where she talks about animals. Like it's not like I said, it's not a big thick dictionary of these things. It's like she mentions different ones and even goats, which I'm partial to. One of the boldest chapters explores the overlap between fairy encounters and modern alien ideas. Okay, she has a unique perspective, which I appreciated. I'm not really big into aliens and stuff like that, but when I talk to my friends and stuff like that, there's a lot of back and forth about aliens, and I often get asked if I think that fae are alien. I mean, in the concept of alien is something not of this earth, sure. Do I think they're aliens as in the gray creatures that people talk about? Not so much. But could they be? Absolutely. There's a lot of personal gnosis that goes into all of this stuff. She ends the book with an encouragement to keep researching, keep looking, keep exploring, okay? She has an extensive bibliography in here, a glossary of the Welsh context, and an index, okay? Totally worth it. My last thoughts, anybody who is new to Welsh lore, this is a great book. It's a little academic, a little bit dense sometimes to get through, but worth it. Overall, Welsh Fairy is extremely well researched. She lives the Welsh culture, so it doesn't surprise me that it's well researched and well laid out and well executed, honestly. She's got approachable exercises, which is one of my favorite parts of the book. And then I also like that it is Welsh specific. It's not a general overview of all fairies in all the world, even though she does comment on some forms of overview, like Victorian versus modern day, what fairies look like, that kind of stuff. But overall, I love that it is very Welsh specific. Some parts are dense, it's occasionally I wished explanations came a little bit easier for me. But it's packed with information, tons of really great information, stuff I can just flip back to and do some research on anytime I need to, which is one of the things I love about having a fairy book collection. When I'm researching lore, when I'm doing things with different fairy books, I like having something I can actually flip through, research, look it up, and be like, oh, she said this person said this, and I can kind of meddle it all together in my own little research way, okay? And it also gives me the opportunity to deepen my own practice with all of her exercises that she is in here. The exercises are phenomenal. If you don't get this book for anything else, get it for the exercises that she has in it. Get it get it for the practice. But if you want a book that, you know, blends scholarship, it blends folklore, has hands-on magic, in a grounded and cultural way, especially Welsh, consider adding this to your bookshelf, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a very great day.